Let us see the summary of the entire chapter. Initially, this question was basically for making calculation of the NPV using the probability distribution method. So probability is provided to us, cash flows have been given to us, we make the computation of the expected cash flow, future cash flows are discounted in present value term for finding NPV. That is what the basic question. Very simple question, I would say. In fact, the entire chapter is very simple. So like I would say it is a C category question, not so important from examination point of view. Instead of 1 year, it is 3 years. We have done the same thing. Future cash flows discounted in present value term for NPV calculation. Again, very simple question. Next is a variance and the standard deviation. We understand that, of course, so this is what something with which you should be aware and make sure that you are not committing any mistake in preparing the columns. That is x minus x bar, in that also you just be careful. Because for the simple computation you will be given good marks. So again, B category question. Why? Because you just have to go through it properly for once. That is next question. In that, say the question says about the CV, coefficient of variation. Again, a very simple concept that we have. So just be careful that you write it, that is you are clear with the formula. See, one of the observation which I have is like this with students is that at any point of time you will never forget the formula for NPV. Why? Because we are doing NPV for so many times that we never forget it. However, the coefficient of variation formula you may forget. See, it is not that it is a difficult formula. It is risk upon return. But in examination you may have for 2 seconds even a confusion that it is x bar upon standard deviation or standard deviation upon x bar. That is the reason I suggest all of you that always keep a habit of writing formulas. When you will look at the formula, you don't have any confusion, you are clear. But when you write it, only in that case that will give you a proper understanding. This is a question in which we are required to make the calculation of the cash flows, standard deviation, covariance, variance, then coefficient of variation, and lastly we had to take a decision. Decision has been taken using the CV because the CV has already been asked to us in the question. Again, this is a question wherein it is a practice question. The only important point is that you have to properly select the discounting factor over here. So again, this is a B category question. This is also a B category question. This is B category question. Why? Because you just have to go through it. Of course, it will not take too much of your time, but going through it is necessary. Next question, wherein again you have to compute the NPV using the two discounting rates, risk-free and risk-adjusted. Over here, the risk-adjusted discounting rate is RF plus risk premium. This is a good question, I would say, A category question, because over here the advice is something which is important. Calculation of answer is not important. Again, this is a very simple question. Calculation of NPV in different situation and then expected NPV calculation. Examination asks question. CA factor, this is the only question that we have, so I assign it as A because going through it is of course necessary. Question about the sensitivity analysis, not so important. The reason that I have kept it over here is that it was asked in examination. This is a basic question and I would say that it is very important question, wherein I have covered the entire concept properly. Scenario analysis, again important question. This is sensitivity analysis. I would say it is important because slightly it is a new kind of question, not exactly the way we do it every time. These are the theory questions. which are of course important. In theory, friends, always have a point that say you keep a track that how many times a question is repeated. Honestly, friends, if at all they do not repeat the question, then in that case, we can always expect the new questions in examination. If at all certain questions are repeated, that is a number of times, then doing those questions first is very necessary.